always knew that I had to do something to make rugby bigger because I loved the sport so much, and I knew that we needed something in Alaska that would help it grow. There are some times when I was doing this, I really thought, what am I doing? If you've got a goal and you don't think it's achievable, go after it. And while you're doing it, take your time and catch your breath once in a while and really think about what you're doing and go, okay, it's gonna be okay, this can happen. Hi, I'm Justin Green. Welcome to the Alaska Mountain Rugby grounds in my home. Come on in. I started, about 10 years old. I went to a boarding school in England, and there were 3 of us, my brothers and I. Our parents kind of lost control of us here in Alaska in the woods, and they decided we better get some discipline in these boys, so they sent us to school in England, and they chose the school St. Lawrence College. And when we arrived there, I think every teacher was pulling their hair out and was trying to get rid of us, but the headmaster, Ian Gollop, who was a Welsh rugby player, said, this is what this school's about, giving kids like this a chance. And he took us on kind of as his project, and he says, I'll use rugby to get to these boys, and I'll break them in with rugby. So this is where it all started for me. This is actually my junior school practice rugby jersey right here from St. Lawrence College in England. And then it goes to my high school, or you want to call it the senior school, to college. Here's where I played at Washington State University. I was a winger there and an inside-outside, and then I came back to Alaska and I started playing for the Green Dragons. That was the team that I was 14 years old when they let me play, and I had to get my parents had to sign a waiver to let me play with them. But that was the team, and I remember I never knew they had rugby in Alaska, and I was in McDonald's, and there was a guy with a rugby jersey and cleats all muddy. I was like, they play rugby here? He goes, yeah, we've been doing it since 1972. I was like, no kidding. So that's how I joined that team. The plan came about sitting with teammates in a pub, and I think Craig, one of our gentlemen that helps us with youth rugby, he remembers the exact time I drew it up on a napkin. I said, this is what we have to do here in Alaska. We need a clubhouse, we need our own pitch, and it has to be grand to get attention so that we can recruit players and help build rugby in the USA.
Well, just an outlandish plan originally. I wasn't actually at the bar right at that time, but I was privy to the napkin that he drew out. And I would tell you that what he drew out on that napkin is eerily similar to what exists here today. It's just absolutely shocking, and that was at least 10 years prior to anything taking form here. He was always enthusiastic. He always came and grabbed me. He ran me up on the mountain, probably 3-4 spots, and we looked at things and trying to figure out, how do you build a rugby field and something like that? I couldn't really picture it, but you know, this particular property that he built on, we looked at from above the hill here, and it had a 40-foot drop from one end to the other, and I'm thinking, you can't play rugby out of an angle like that. As always, he came through and kind of amazed me when it started taking form, and when it really got flat and the field was out there, I was in. I knew I had to be part of this.
I always had big dreams, and I mean, it was probably the way I was raised. You can do anything. My father always taught me, Justin, you can do anything you want. And I kind of knew it was going to happen, and when I started looking for properties, I remember walking these mountains with the union president, Cam, and I'd say, hey, Cam, come follow me. And I know exactly what Cam was thinking. There's no way this guy's ever going to do it, but I'll be up there to support him. And finally, I think I found a piece that I liked, and it was at a reasonable price, and I bought the property way before I ever touched it, just so I held it. And of course, I didn't owner finance. I didn't have any money. I just begged the people, hey, I want to buy this property. I didn't have a cent, and I think they let me put $1,000 down, and I was making $1,000 payments to hold it. And I just knew, hey, we'll make some money one day, and we'll slowly attack this thing, and we'll build a field, and maybe we'll build a clubhouse on it, and maybe that clubhouse may have some nice facilities in it. You know, I just really didn't know where it was going to go, but I knew we were going to do something. Alaska Rugby started in 1972, so we wanted something to preserve our history, and of course, clubhouses around the world, that's kind of what I think they do. Besides a great social gathering, they also preserve history of a rugby club. So as you can see on all the walls, we have all of our touring jerseys from back in the days. We have the various teams in Alaska, some of the older ones that are not here anymore. And I've got boxes and boxes of stuff that I'm still got to put up. And as we grow a little bigger, we'll find more places, more homes for some of that stuff. Once we got the land, we had to figure out, okay, how are we going to develop it? And it took 5 to 6, maybe even 7 years, I think, to build up a company. And we built a company called Alaska Demolition. I started it with my rugby teammates, and it was a great fit for rugby players doing demolition. And we just started making money, and I said, guys, let's build this company up. And the next thing you know, we owned equipment to do the dirt work. Great thing about demolition is you get material that you can salvage, and that was like, let's salvage that material, like we can use that for the clubhouse. So that's how it all kind of came together.
I've seen Justin dream of things, and it always happens. So when he says he's going to have a rugby field in his front yard, it was not that surprising. I think it's just a connection to his childhood. It's definitely shaped his life. When he was in England and he was away from his parents, it was really his family at school.
The first part was laying it out. We wanted to make it as least impact as possible on this mountainside and take advantage of all the pretty views. We had the backdrop of the mountains. We had the view of of Sleeping Lady and Anchorage. I was like, we've got to make this field where, if you kick a ball out of touch, it's going to end up in downtown Anchorage. Is kind of what we wanted to make it look like. We started obviously with the dirt work. We had to tear into the mountain. Even tearing into the mountain didn't produce enough dirt, so we had all my friend contractors that were dirt contractors. It was like, hey guys, I need dirt. So anytime there was projects with excess dirt, they would drive their trucks up here, and we have thousands of truckloads of dirt to level that field. I mean, you gotta think about it. Leveling a field on a mountain it's a big deal, especially a rugby field.
He was dragging dirt in here for a long time before he really kind of let us all know that it was here. It was pretty much taken form as far as the field goes. A few of the main guys just came and looked at it, and he's really doing this. And it's wow. And yeah, it was incredible to watch.
Just the field took about 5 years to build, because we have short summers here in Alaska, so we had to make the most of it all during the summertime. The house itself took about 2 years to build, and another 2.5 with some inside work, and I mean, it'll never end. This is going to be an ongoing project forever, this place.
This grounds gave Alaskan rugby this fantastic opportunity for growth that was even probably far beyond my sights at the time, because it really pulled in this group of older guys that had disconnected kind of from the younger group, and the youth rugby thing just sprang out of it just amazingly. And by the end of that first year, we were around 100 kids, and by the time we got to the end of the second year, we were over 400, and here it's just continual growth. And the youth rugby has drawn more people in and more people in. Club rugby benefited from that part of it as well. We're up to 4 women's teams in town. We got 6 full clubs. All of it just got inspired by it. Even though they don't necessarily use the facility other than the youth on a regular basis, it just generated a lot of interest.
So right now you're in the garage, you want to call it. We usually use it for practicing. The kids love to play in here. Alaska's really cold in the winter, and it's hard to play outdoors, so we can use this to play indoors. And at this moment right now, we are using it to build the cabins inside. So we're building these cabins to house players from around the world that are coming to Alaska to help us promote rugby and act as ambassadors of rugby here in Alaska. And they're going to be coaching the youth. They're going to be doing camps for the youth. And at the same time, they'll probably be playing against our men's and women's teams up here. And really, it's just a great way to come see Alaska and experience the outdoors in kind of, a unique way. You get to stay in a cabin in the woods. Now that the facility's gathered international attention and known around the world, I mean, part of the dream is bring rugby to Alaska or to America and be a home base for rugby players from around the world to come see what we've got here in Alaska. Just whatever it takes to grow the sport and make it wonderful for anybody else that wants to join in and have fun.
It's really exciting to see someone live the dream that they've dreamed. Seeing anyone accomplish their dream is amazing and beautiful, and especially if it's someone that you care about and you see them so full of happiness, it's just beautiful.